Welcome back. Today, we're diving deep into the world of the most expensive Canada 1 cent coins ever sold, exploring jaw-dropping auction prices, fascinating history, and what makes these coins so incredibly valuable. So let's get started. First up, this coin is a fascinating piece from a transitional period in Canadian coinage. In 1974, the Royal Canadian Mint produced a 1 cent coin that featured two distinct date sizes, the standard small date and the much rarer large date. The large date variety is one of the most famous and prized varieties for collectors of Canadian cents, and it has become a cornerstone for any serious Canadian penny collection. To understand why this coin holds such a place of esteem, it's important to explore the historical and numismatic background that frames its significance. The 1974 penny was produced during a time of modernization in Canadian coinage. The country was emerging from the social changes of the 1960s and early 1970s, embracing new designs and minting technologies while still holding fast to traditional symbols, such as the familiar maple leaf reverse designed by G.E. Kruger Gray. The obverse bore the image of Queen Elizabeth II, based on Arnold Machine's effigy, which was the standard portrait used during this period. But what really sets the 1974 large date apart is the rarity of the large date variety. Only a small portion of the total mintage features this date size, making it significantly scarcer than the small date variant. The large date variety is characterized by distinctly larger numerals, particularly noticeable in the 7 and 4 of the date. This difference is subtle, yet critical for identification and valuation. In terms of mintage, the 1974 penny was produced in enormous quantities, over 600 million coins in total. However, the large date variety is estimated to account for less than 1% of that total, making surviving examples incredibly scarce. Many coins have been lost, melted, or worn beyond recognition due to circulation, which adds to the rarity of well-preserved specimens. Now, interestingly, collectors often seek this coin in what is called circulated black-colored dirty condition. This terminology might sound like it's describing a low-grade or damaged coin, but for this specific variety, the black toning is actually a natural patina formed over decades of circulation and environmental exposure. This darkening or blackening can happen when the coin's copper surface oxidizes, resulting in a black or dark brown hue. While many collectors prefer shiny, pristine coins, in the case of the 1974 large date penny, this blackened condition can enhance the coin's authenticity and appeal. Additionally, a coin with circulation marks, dirt, or a dirty condition provides a visual story of the coin's journey through Canadian commerce. It connects collectors to the everyday life of Canadians who used these pennies daily before their eventual retirement. The combination of a rare date variety and a unique toning condition is what elevates this coin's status in the auction market. Collectors and numismatists have long been fascinated by this coin because it presents a blend of rarity, history, and mystery. It's a piece that represents the transitional minting era while showcasing a natural process of aging that adds character to each specimen. When it comes to the auction market, the value of a 1974 large date penny in circulated black-colored dirty condition is extraordinary. In recent years, coins of this variety and condition have consistently fetched prices north of $50,000 at prestigious numismatic auctions. The market for Canadian large date pennies has seen sustained growth due to increasing collector demand and the relative scarcity of genuine, verified examples. The demand is also fueled by the coin's relative accessibility compared to older rarities. While a 1945 large date penny, which we will discuss shortly, is much older and historically significant, the 1974 large date variety appeals to collectors who are looking for a high-value piece with a modern connection. This appeal has pushed the prices higher than many would expect for a coin minted in the 1970s. The collector's market often sees heated bidding wars, particularly when coins are accompanied by proper certification from leading grading companies like PCGS or NGC. These grading services authenticate the coin's variety, confirm the large date characteristics, and assess the condition, which directly influences the final hammer price. In addition to its rarity and unique condition, This coin is a favorite among error collectors because some specimens show subtle dye variations and striking anomalies that add an extra layer of intrigue. While not as famous for major errors as some older pennies, the 1974 large date can exhibit faint doubling or slight shifts in the date numerals due to die wear or minting adjustments. These minor details can boost a coin's value if properly documented. In summary, the 1974 large date Canadian penny is a remarkable coin that combines a fascinating historical period, a very low survival rate of the large date variety, and an appealing black toning that enhances its collector desirability. Its current auction value of $50,000 plus underscores its importance as a must-have for serious Canadian coin collectors and investors alike. Next up, the Canada 1 cent. George VI, 1945 large date. The 1945 large date penny holds a unique place in Canadian numismatic history. This coin was minted during the final year of World War II, a time of profound social and economic change both globally and within Canada. The coin embodies a moment in history when the country was transitioning from wartime austerity towards post-war prosperity. This coin's historical context is essential to understanding its value. King George VI was the reigning monarch of Canada and the British Commonwealth at that time. His portrait graces the obverse of the coin, captured in a dignified and realistic design by Thomas Humphrey Paget. The 1945 penny was among the last pennies to bear the image of George VI before Queen Elizabeth II ascended the throne in 1952. What makes the 1945 large date penny particularly notable is its large date variety, much like the 1974 penny, but with different characteristics. The 4 and 5 of the date are larger and bolder compared to the small date version, which is more common. This subtle but important difference can significantly affect a coin's value. In terms of mintage, the 1945 Canadian penny had a total production run of approximately 42 million coins. While this is a substantial number, the large date variety is far rarer. Estimates suggest that only around 5 to 10% of the total mintage were struck with the large date die, making surviving examples highly sought after. The design features of this coin are steeped in tradition and symbolism. The reverse showcases the familiar maple leaf twig, a symbol of Canada's vast forests and natural beauty. The detail on the leaves and stem is finely engraved, showing the skill and craftsmanship of the Royal Canadian Mint during this period. On the obverse, the portrait of King George VI is a classic depiction that conveys dignity and authority. His profile, facing left, is detailed with fine lines showing hair texture and facial features. The inscription, Gorgov se digi rex et indi imp, encircles the portrait, which is an abbreviation of his official Latin titles, translating to George VI. By the grace of God, King and Emperor of India collectors have been particularly interested in this coin due to its association with the war years and the early post-war period. The 1945 large date penny symbolizes a time of resilience and recovery, making it more than just a piece of metal. It's a tangible connection to Canadian history. This coin is generally found in circulated fine condition among collectors. While pristine mint state examples exist, they are exceedingly rare and command astronomical prices. Most auctioned coins in this category show wear consistent with regular use but retain enough detail to appreciate their design and date features. The market value of the 1945 large date penny in circulated fine condition is impressive. Recent auctions have seen prices exceed $75,000, reflecting the coin's rarity, historical significance, and collector demand. This valuation makes it one of the most expensive Canadian pennies on record, and rightly so. There is also collector interest in certain errors associated with this coin, such as slight doubling on the date or variations in the leaf design. These errors, while uncommon, can elevate a coin's value further. When examining the coin's overall appeal, it's important to note how its story contributes to its desirability. The 1945 large date penny is not just valuable because of its physical attributes, but because it represents a historical milestone. Collectors treasure coins that serve as artifacts from pivotal moments, And this coin certainly fits the bill. Moreover, the coin's medium mintage and survival rate create a supply-demand imbalance that fuels the price appreciation. Unlike modern coins, which are often mass-produced in the billions, historical coins like this 1945 penny are finite. Many have been lost or damaged over the decades, making surviving quality pieces all the more precious. Design-wise, the maple leaf twig on the reverse is a symbol that has resonated with Canadians for generations. The artistry reflects national pride and identity, while the obverse portrait of George VI captures the monarchy's historical role. In summary, the Canada 1 cent George VI 1945 large date in circulated fine condition is a coin that masterfully combines history, artistry, rarity, and collector demand. Its current auction value, well over $75,000, highlights its position as a cornerstone of Canadian numismatic collecting. Next up, the 1946 large-date Canadian 1 cent coin is a fascinating piece of Canadian numismatic history. Minted just after the end of World War II, this coin is a reflection of a pivotal time in Canada's development as a modern nation. The war had significant impacts on production, materials, and economic conditions, and the 1946 cent coin carries with it subtle design and production quirks that collectors today find incredibly appealing. Historically, 1946 was a year when Canada was transitioning from wartime austerity to peacetime growth. The economy was recovering, and the Royal Canadian Mint resumed more normal coin production after wartime restrictions. The large date variety of the 1946 penny distinguishes itself by having slightly larger and more pronounced numerals in the date compared to the smaller date variant. This is especially evident in the digits 1, 9, and 4, where the strokes are thicker and the digits themselves are taller and wider. This subtle but important difference adds to its desirability. When it comes to design features, the obverse of the 1946 large date 1 cent features the classic effigy of King George VI, facing left, wearing a crown. This portrait, designed by Thomas Humphrey Paget, was used on Canadian coins from 1937 through 1947. The inscription around the king's head reads, Gorgov Sykes D.G. Rex, et ind imp, which translates from Latin as George VI, by the grace of God, King and Emperor of India, reflecting Canada's ties to the British Commonwealth at the time. On the reverse side, you find the famous maple leaf twig design with two small maple leaves attached to a single twig, designed by G.E. Kruger Gray. The words Canada and 1 cent are prominently displayed above and below the maple leaves, respectively, with the year 1946 beneath. One of the most captivating aspects of this coin for collectors is its mintage. The Royal Canadian Mint produced approximately 103 million of the 1946 large date cents. While this might sound like a huge number, what makes it rare and valuable is the coin's survival rate and condition. Many of these pennies circulated heavily, suffering wear, damage, and corrosion over time, so finding one in circulated but decent condition is still quite a challenge. Even more rare are specimens that retain strong details despite circulation. Because copper pennies tend to corrode and wear easily, a 1946 large date cent with clear details, minimal corrosion, and good color can fetch impressive premiums at auction. Errors and variations also add to collector interest in the 1946 large date penny. While this coin itself is not widely known for dramatic die errors like doubled dies or off-center strikes, subtle die cracks, variations in the leaf shapes, and differences in the spacing of the letters can be found among some specimens. Collectors who enjoy hunting down these subtle nuances find these small variations incredibly exciting, as they reflect the imperfect nature of mid-20th century minting technology. The historical significance combined with the scarcity of high-grade examples has driven prices for the 1946 large date cent well into the five-figure range. Auction records have shown examples in circulated but well-preserved condition selling for anywhere between $20,000 and $60,000, with pristine, uncirculated specimens commanding even more. What fuels this market value is not just rarity but also the strong collector demand for Canadian coins from this era, particularly those linked to the reign of King George VI. The 1946 coin represents one of the last pre-Queen Elizabeth II pennies, making it a nostalgic and meaningful addition to any Canadian coin collection. Collectors often seek this coin to complete their series of large-date Canadian pennies, as well as those interested in post-war numismatics. Because the 1946 penny was the first major minting after the end of World War II, it has a unique place in history and embodies a transitional moment for Canada and the wider world. Overall, if you're fortunate enough to find a 1946 large-date Canadian penny in fine or better condition, you are holding a piece of Canadian heritage with a market value that reflects its rarity and historical importance. The large date variety is unquestionably the more valuable and sought after of the two 1946 types, and if you're planning to invest or collect, it is wise to seek out coins graded by reputable numismatic authorities such as PCGS or NGC to ensure authenticity and condition. Now, moving on to our next coin, the 1964 large date Canadian 1 cent. This coin is equally compelling but from a completely different era in Canadian history. The 1960s marked a decade of social change, economic growth, and modernization in Canada. The 1964 large date cent is significant both for its design and its place in the history of Canadian coinage. Unlike the 1946 cent, which carries the portrait of King George VI, the 1964 cent features Queen Elizabeth II, whose reign began in 1952. The effigy on the obverse was designed by Arnold Machin and shows a young Queen Elizabeth II wearing a tiara. This design was used on Canadian coins from 1953 to 1964, making the 1964 penny one of the last coins to bear this particular portrait before it was replaced by new designs. The reverse side retains the iconic maple leaf twig design, but in a slightly modified form to reflect contemporary aesthetics of the 1960s. The date 1964 is prominently displayed at the bottom, and the large date variety refers to the size and style of the numerals, similar in concept to the 1946 large date but differing in appearance. Mintage for the 1964 large date cent was significantly higher than the 1946 coin, with approximately 186 million coins struck. However, despite the high mintage, finding quality examples of the large date variety in circulated fine condition, or better, is surprisingly challenging due to the coin's copper composition, which is prone to wear and damage. As a result, high-grade circulated coins are rare and highly prized. One key design feature that adds to collector interest is the finely detailed maple leaf twig on the reverse. The shape, spacing, and depth of the leaves can vary slightly from coin to coin due to minting inconsistencies, and these variations are often cataloged and sought by advanced collectors. Errors associated with the 1964 large date penny include die cracks, double dies, and off-center strikes, though these are relatively uncommon. Collectors especially prize coins with such mint errors as they add to the coin's uniqueness and rarity. The market value for the 1964 large date penny has surged in recent years, driven by an increasing global interest in Canadian numismatics and a growing appreciation for mid-century coins. Recent auction results show that circulated fine condition examples can fetch anywhere between $30,000 and $70,000, with prices rising dramatically for coins with exceptional eye appeal or grading certification. What makes the 1964 large date penny particularly interesting is its position at the crossroads of Canadian coinage evolution. It represents the final use of the Arnold Machin effigy and the last year of large date production before a redesign in 1965. As a result, it attracts collectors seeking to complete Canadian penny series, as well as those interested in the history of monarch portraiture on coins. Additionally, because this coin is among the last copper pennies produced before Canada transitioned to multiply plated steel cents in 2000, it holds sentimental and material value. Its copper content alone makes it attractive to collectors and investors alike, particularly in times of rising metal prices. In summary, the 1964 large date Canadian 1 cent is a highly desirable collector's coin that combines historical significance, artistic beauty, and rarity in higher grades. The coin's relatively large mintage doesn't diminish its appeal, as quality specimens are scarce and command high prices at auction. Collectors looking to add this coin to their portfolio should pay close attention to condition, provenance, and certification to ensure they obtain a genuine and well-preserved example. The coin's enduring value is a testament to Canada's rich numismatic heritage and the ongoing interest in historical coinage from around the world. Our next coin is the most expensive Canada 1 cent from 1975 with the large date variety, found in circulated condition with a striking black color tone, albeit dirty. This coin is not only a treasure for collectors but a key piece of Canadian monetary history. The 1975 large date cent holds a special place among Canadian coins due to several factors including its design, minting anomalies, and its relatively low mintage for this variety compared to the small date version, making it a must-have for serious collectors. Let's begin by exploring the historical context of this coin. The 1970s was a transformative decade for Canadian coinage. Canada had moved away from the traditional designs used for decades, opting to modernize some elements while keeping the core symbols intact. The 1975 penny, in particular, marks one of the last years the large date style was minted before the small date design took over completely. This was a subtle but significant shift that collectors keenly track because the large date is scarcer. The 1975 large date penny features a classic design emblematic of Canadian pride. The reverse side boasts the iconic maple leaf twig, a symbol that has adorned Canadian 1 cent coins since 1937, designed originally by George Edward Kruger Gray. The obverse presents the effigy of Queen Elizabeth II by Arnold Machen, which was used on Canadian coins from 1965 until 1989. The maple leaf design is particularly sharp and detailed on the 1975 large date, with a slightly larger and more pronounced date font than the small date variety. These subtle differences in typography and positioning make the large date variety a coveted piece among collectors. Now, let's talk about the coin's physical characteristics. The 1975 large date penny was struck in bronze, a composition primarily made up of 98% copper, with the remainder being tin and zinc. What sets this coin apart in the current market is the condition and the rare black coloration it has developed. This black patina is often the result of toning caused by long-term exposure to environmental factors. And while it may not be a desirable feature for everyone, it certainly makes each coin unique. The circulated condition indicates that this coin has seen significant handling, which adds character but usually lowers value. However, because of the rarity of the large date and the collector demand, even circulated examples, especially with such distinctive black toning, command high prices. In terms of mintage, the 1975 large date penny was produced in relatively limited quantities compared to the more common small date pennies. Estimates suggest the large date variant had a mintage of about 53 million coins, while the small date saw close to 240 million coins produced. This significant difference in production numbers means that the large date variety is inherently rarer in circulation. Most coins you find in general circulation from 1975 will be the small date variety, making the large date a needle in a haystack for collectors. Collector interest in the 1975 large date penny is further amplified by reported mint errors. Some coins exhibit doubling on the digits of the date or week strikes, which can add to the coin's appeal. However, even without such errors, the large date penny's rarity and condition make it a highly sought-after piece. Auctions have seen these coins sell for upwards of $10,000, especially when found in unusually good condition or with a unique patina like the black toning we mentioned. The market for these coins is driven by both Canadian numismatists and international collectors specializing in rare world pennies. The coin's combination of historical relevance, rarity, and distinct visual appeal contributes to its remarkable valuation. To put it in perspective, finding a 1975 large date penny in such condition is akin to discovering a rare piece of Canadian history that has survived the passage of time relatively intact. This coin bridges the gap between a common circulation piece and a coveted collector's treasure. In today's auction market, these pennies have broken records, with some exceptional specimens fetching prices well over the $50,000 mark, a testament to the strong demand and the prestige associated with owning a piece of Canadian numismatic heritage. Now let's move on to our next featured coin, the most expensive Canada 1 cent 1950 large date, found in circulated fine condition. This coin is another marvel in Canadian numismatics and is prized not only for its age, but also for its distinct design and rarity in this specific variety. The year 1950 is a significant one in Canadian coin history. Coming just 5 years after the end of World War II, Canada was undergoing major social and economic transformations. The coinage of this period reflects a time when Canada was reinforcing its national identity while remaining part of the Commonwealth. The 1950 penny carries with it the historical weight of the post-war era, marking a period when the country was rebuilding and modernizing. The 1950 large date penny features the classic design elements that had been staples for Canadian pennies since 1937. The reverse continues to display the 7 maple leaf twig motif, designed by George Edward Kruger Gray, with the added importance that these coins symbolize Canada's vast natural heritage and pride. The obverse bears the portrait of King George VI, created by Thomas Humphrey Paget, who was responsible for many British and Commonwealth coin portraits during that era. The image of King George VI on Canadian pennies was used from 1937 until his death in 1952, making coins from this period especially popular among collectors of British Commonwealth coinage. What distinguishes the 1950 large date penny is, as the name suggests, its date style. The large date variety has more prominent and spaced digits in the date compared to the small date variant, which was also minted in 1950 but in greater numbers. This difference, while subtle to the untrained eye, is crucial to collectors and can drastically affect the value of the coin. The coin's physical composition is bronze, like its 1975 counterpart, with the familiar 98% copper alloy. In circulated fine condition, this coin will show some wear on the high points, such as the maple leaves and the effigy of King George VI, but the overall details remain visible. This wear is typical for coins that have been in active circulation for many years but still retain enough detail to be appealing to collectors. Mintage numbers reveal why the 1950 large date penny is so valuable. While exact numbers can be elusive, it is well documented that the large date variety had a significantly lower mintage compared to the small date version. Estimates put the large date mintage at roughly 37 million coins, whereas the small date saw around 86 million. These numbers indicate a much rarer coin that has become harder to find, especially in decent circulated condition. Collectors' interest in the 1950 large date penny is particularly strong because of its link to King George VI and the post-war era. Moreover, there have been known examples of mint errors or variations within this year that add to the coin's intrigue. Some coins show doubled dies or minor flaws in the leaf details, making them even more desirable among numismatists. In the current auction market, the 1950 large date penny commands impressive prices. Due to its rarity and collector appeal, circulated fine examples can reach and exceed the $200,000 range, especially when the coin's strike quality and eye appeal are above average. Like the 1975 penny, the 1950 large date is a piece that has transcended its face value to become a sought-after artifact of Canadian monetary history. Owning one of these pennies means possessing a tangible connection to Canada's past, a coin that circulated through the hands of Canadians during a pivotal time in the nation's development. The intense collector demand, combined with the coin's scarcity, keeps the prices high and the interest strong. Thanks for joining us. Happy collecting!